There are some who say that law and justice are two entirely different things, and nothing says they necessarily have to be connected in any way. The Dark Ridge Mountains are quite the imposing mountainous region, bordering the northern realms of the Midden Realm. The Midden Realm is the largest domain in all of Aventuria, largely of human lands, although there is also many other people, especially dwarves, goblins, even some elves, and orcs. But it is largely a human domain, ruled by the Empress Raulerson. Today, we focus on the Margravat of Griffensford, which is one of the many provinces of the Midden Realm. Griffensford, part of what some locals call the Shield Lands. Why the Shield Lands? Well, because they believe that these lands are the shield of the realm against the dangers of the Orcish war hordes that have stormed over the Dark Ridge Mountains many times in the last 100 years or so. These are the lands of rugged forests, tall mountain ridges, and a hardy people who are used to the concept of invasion. They defend themselves well, they feel, calling many of the knights who patrol the borders the Sable Guard. After all, the locals call the Dark Ridge in Griffensford the Sable Ridge. Today, as we focus on this province, we'll be focusing on the barony of Belden Grove, one of the baronies right next to the Dark Ridge Mountains. In particular, as we go along the tree line of this region known as the Luminous Woods, we shall see 3 individuals making their way to a large landmark. This landmark is known as Bold Emeran to the locals. It is a lone limestone tor that rises above the treetops of this wood. Here, the broadleaf trees give way to conifers, such as red and blue spruces, surrounded by heavy underbrush. There's a slight luminescence to these woods at the right time of day, which is why they are called by the locals the Luminous Woods. One of the individuals approaching this large limestone monument is a woman. A human woman. She is young, in her 20s, her hair cut short, page style, wearing some very simple leather armor, carrying a sword. She seems to be leading the other 2 individuals who are following her. Who is the first individual we see following this young woman to this stone landmark?
That might be the Bornish witch Irinja, who is walking close behind, looking around her, also accompanied by a little cat walking next to her. Her hair is fiery and trailing seemingly naturally down into a beautiful fall of locks on her shoulders. She has an outstanding beauty. She walks there with a surprisingly small pack for someone out traveling, but with a crooked staff that she uses along the way as she trails along, tightly wound leather jerkin, and a dagger at the hip. Colourful clothes, purple top and flowing green dress, marks her as a untypical adventurer of the wilds, but this is somewhat covered by a traveller's cloak as he's going along. This one also not too discreet colorings. The chin held high, seeming in a positive mood, enjoying the nature, the woods, and safe in the company of the leader of the group, as well as the one that is following behind her.
Behind her is a tall, imposing woman with blue eyes and blonde, braided hair. She wears furs and leather and has a two-handed barbarian axe on her back. Her face and skin are marked with scars from glorious battle, as well as the tribal tattoos of her people, the Frundengar, those protected by the Lord of Ice, Frunu. Most others call her people Fjarnings, the people who live near the Ice Pinnacle and Mist Pinnacle mountains up in the very, very far north. To make it in the cold there, you have to both carry ice in your blood, yet be able to instantly make your blood boil and crush whatever threatens you, because threats are everywhere up there. And Ylwa, which is her name, she's able to do just that. She's one of the berserkers of her tribe, short-tempered and with a bloodlust that few can match. She is on a quest for the secret of steel. She will find it for her people. And the person that she's following, the Bornish witch, has convinced her that that is something that she can help out with. So she has been questing for a long time now, traveling south. And now we are here. And hopefully, whatever we do here will lead Ylwa one step closer to finding the secret that she's looking for.
Two rather interesting individuals. Two individuals who've been travelling together for some time. But the third individual is not part of your party. They are in fact someone you've only met 10-20 minutes ago. They introduced themselves as Azella of Altnarsfeld Schroffenstein. She said she was a squire of Sunfield, which is a manor apparently somewhere in this barony. A knight, newly knighted. It was a rather strange situation. You see, as you, Irinja, and Ylwa were at an inn, stopping off for a point on your travels. After all, it's quite a long journey from the original homelands to get to where you are today. This woman just burst into the tavern. Such things are not unknown in these parts, of course. She had a very strange request and came immediately to the two of you, seeing that you were not locals, and especially in your case, Ylwa, that you were armed. Bandits. She had been waylaid by them just the night previously. Kidnapped. They were going to ransom her back to her father, the current ruler of Sunfield Manor. She managed to escape, she says, and literally this morning had just found her way to this inn. Naturally, the innkeepers were very quick to inform her that the guard would be informed, but she felt that would not be quick enough. These bandits, she knew where their camp was. If some people came with her now, they would be able to catch the bandits before they flee further into the Dark Ridge and beyond even the reach of good horsemen. They need to be caught now, she said, and I need help immediately. What was it about this request that made you two interested in the first place?
Well, the possibility of it leading to bloodshed. I haven't cracked any skulls recently, and bandits are always fun. Yes, that seems like something that I would definitely want to get behind. And perhaps there's coin. I mean, she seems rich, right? And I don't think we have a lot of money left. We still need that once in a while.
We do. And also, having set out thus far, stopping at all the places that we have, it is good to be out in nature. It is good to be surrounded in the forest. And indeed, if these bandits have gotten their hands on something that might do better off in ours, and that this local lord wouldn't mind imparting with, then how could it hurt us? I am sure that Aventuria, my goddess, is trying to tell me something. This doesn't just happen out of happenstance. I have left that behind me far long ago.
Indeed, and certainly if either of you had mentioned payment, definitely payment. If not from her father at Sunfield Manor, then by the Baron of Belden Grove himself, if you truly believe it is worth that attention. Certainly the Baron would be interested in bandits in his realms. That is standard law and practice in these lands. Definitely a large amount of ducats will be available on this one.
Excellent.
Yes. And I have let Katsinka, my cat, or as I would know that it is, a familiar. I would have let her take a stroll around the area as we were staying in the tavern, so that she may relay any information that might be interesting to me. We have a strong connection, a soul-bound connection, if you will, like most witches do. And as we come into contact with each other, physical contact, she is able to relay images and thoughts of what she might have seen as she has herself explored this area in search of mice and other prey.
Indeed, and for the cost of one of her Aether points, she will give you a little bit of something. Not too much, though. She was watching outside. This inn is on the Maragrav Way, meaning it's on one of the main roads of the region. The inn was called the Four Beaches Inn, and she did indeed see this young woman, this knight, although, bless, your cat doesn't really know what a knight is, coming up the road and coming to the inn, looking very bedraggled. She wasn't even armed, only getting her sword she has now from the friendly innkeeper who was very sympathetic to her cause. After all, he did confirm that she is indeed the daughter of the owner of Sunfield Manor, and a knight. But not much else. At least, not for now. How do you travel with your broom? By the way, it is an interesting thing you carry with you.
It is indeed. For me to be able to use it as witches do, all it needs is to make sure that it is entirely covered with flying balm, which witch coven creates. Now, to be able to use it as such, it doesn't need to take the shape of an actual broom. And in this case, it looks more like a crooked staff, and the end of it doesn't look much like a broom at all. Were I to set up a hut, as I prefer to do when staying longer in an area, then I might attach that to make it less inconspicuous, that I keep it close by at all times. But as I'm traveling roads and other countries, it would look stranger with a broom than what it is right now. A staff, a crooked staff, not seeming much of use for practical combat perhaps, but something to carry along with you. It doesn't look much more conspicuous than that.
And so, with some haste, you have been led to this landmark. Isella is looking around. She has been very tense. This is obvious for anyone to see. She's quite clearly looks a bit scuffled, as if she's had a rough night, and is looking around the woods, looking down the roads nearby. Already, to come this far, the road has become very, very mild. An old farmer's path, nothing more than that, and beyond this landmark, woods and mountain. But she is looking for something. She says, "Right. Well, first of all, thank Preos that you two were available. I thank you greatly for aiding me in my task, As I said, soon the Baron's men will come, but by the time they are able to arrive, I fear the bandits will have successfully fled. So it's best we get them now. Also, be on the lookout. I'm pretty sure they'll have sent at least a few people to come after me. They'll be aware of my escape.
Oh, don't you worry. We will keep an eye out. And I take my war axe and I have it ready in my hands. And as soon as they show their faces, well, this will be waiting for them.
She smiles and nods. Good. Yes, I assure you, they are bandits and, well, while taking them in to be hung is lawful, I won't look the other way if we have to kill them. After all, it'll be easier, and they deserve it.
I kneel down to Katsinka and I put my hand on her so that we might communicate. And I stroke her fondly and say, "You might want to keep safe now, little one. Don't stray too far, but have a look around. Find yourself something to eat, and if you see people, stay away."
And she nods in a cat-like fashion and begins just investigating the area, playfully, like a cat would. You do see Isella look at you a little strangely and remark, "Very strange that you have a cat companion you travel with. They're not really known for being good for much on the open road."
Katsinka was someone that I made an acquaintance of at a very early age. I saved her from the road that you speak of, and she rarely leaves my side since. Now that we are out on other business, it would pain me greatly to go too far from her, I say, as I look at her fondly, playing and wandering off.
You do see Isella looking at you obsessively. She hadn't really properly taken you two in, you feel. She was very glad just to get assistance, but she hadn't really been focusing on you. If you like, Irinja, you can roll me an intuition roll. This is a simple roll of an attribute, meaning you're simply rolling 1d20 and trying to roll under your intuition stat.
I will do so as I look up to meet her gaze. I rolled 18 over 14.
She's looking at you, but, a lot of people look at you. You're not quite sure what she's thinking, but again, it's such a lovely day out today, and as you said, these are fine woods. They don't match the woods of the Bornland, of course. Those are truly mighty, deep woods. But there is something to be said about these mountain woods. They are still pleasant.
I meet her gaze, I smile gently, and then I look down and I straighten my skirt.
She then looks to you, Ylwa. And you are not a knight, are you?
I'm a warrior. Yes, I fight for my tribe, I crush our enemies, and I'm looking for something down here. I will find it together with the witch.
The witch? Isella raises an eyebrow at this. You realize, Ylwa, that perhaps you just said something you shouldn't have. So bluntly, anyway.
I look up at you, raising an eyebrow.
Well, it's a secret. I mean...
Well, I have my uses, I would say, in an expedition like this. As you can see, I am not a warrior, but I specialize in the healing arts, and I can, with the use of a little bit of alchemy and my knowledge of the land, aid you both after any sort of encounter we might run into. That is all I hope to do, and I shall hope that it will still be of service.
You see Isella looking a little concerned. Yes, Irinja, unfortunately you know that in the Midden Realm, are there witches? Of course there are. But you have to kind of keep it on the down low. Quite a few people in the little villages don't quite understand what witches do. Some of them believe you simply sell nice potions and heal a wart or two, and others believe you summon demons and eat their children in the night. Neither are truly correct, but it does pay to be careful. The Midden Realm is better these days than it was a couple of 100 years ago. Witches were sometimes persecuted and burnt at the stake in the name of Praos, god of justice and light, but that at least has eased off in more modern times. But the distrust, unfortunately, is still there. It's not like you're a blessed one, after all. They get their powers straight from their gods.
I think to myself, oh, I miss the born land, the Meskins, the Plurtsinger Dotson. But I don't relay this. Instead, I give her an enchanting look as I finger the brass medallion hanging around my neck, maybe leading her gaze towards my generously exposed décolletage.
Isella sort of shakes her head and starts looking around. A witch. I should have guessed from your strange attire and... a cat. I thought that was a story, goodness me. I don't have time to worry about that. Just as long as you keep your spells away from me, and do not cause any trouble in the name of Praos, we don't have a problem. I need help. So fine. Now, this is Boldemoran. It is a recognizable landmark. From here, I know the way to the cloister. That is where they've set their camp. It's a place I used to explore when I was a child, actually, so 2 or 3 hours away. Not too far if you know the way. But can you see anything, either of you? I feel if I had pursuers, they would have come this way. They must have seen us coming for them. They must have retreated. So can you see anything? And she seems to be looking around for any sign of any disturbance to the area. Does anyone have any expertise in tracking, for example?
I have some survival skills, orienting, tracking 5, yes.
Well, if you wish, you can do a skill check to see if you can see any signs of, let's say, tracks that have come through the area recently. To roll a skill check in the Dark Eye, you have 3 attributes you need to roll under. You must roll under all 3 to successfully succeed at the skill check. However, if you don't succeed, you can always use your skill rank, which gives you skill points. Each point can be used to adjust your roll. Then, there will be a quality level, depending on how many skill points you have remaining. So, please, first of all, roll your 3 d20s for your tracking skill.
I roll 2 underneath 14 for courage. I roll 3 underneath my agility of 14. And finally, I will roll against intelligence. 4 underneath 13.
That is a success on every single dice, meaning you do not need to use your skill points at all, meaning all 5 go to the quality level. Quality level is measured in threes, meaning you get a quality level of 2. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5. So, you are successful. So you start looking around this landmark, quickly thinking to yourself, right, road. Who's been on this road recently? Well, first of all, you obviously notice one set of footprints came from the woods. And looking back, you very quickly assume if Isella came this way, that must be Isella's. You could have a quick look at her, judge the feet. Yes, those would be her footprints. You also, because you've got a quality level of 2, get even more information. You notice 2 sets of footprints were sort of here in the northern area, just around the main stone, and then they turned back. This happened 20-30 minutes ago. Yes, 2 people were here. One footprint slightly smaller than the other. Okay, not sure. Different sizes of different people, but you're not quite sure immediately what that would mean. But they were definitely here no less than 20-30 minutes ago, and then they've turned back. Maybe they saw you heading this way and decided to start retreating. Perhaps not wanting to take on all three of you when originally they were after just one person.
Yes. They must know that we're coming. That must be what it is. You see these tracks? They've turned back. They were following you, Isella. And now, they'll probably be waiting at their camp or whatever they have.
Wait, how long ago do you think it was?
What do I think?
20-30 minutes ago.
About 20-30 minutes ago.
Ah, right. Where? And you point, and she goes, oh, right, I see, yes. No, yeah, well, they won't be back at the camp yet. It's still 3 or 4 hours away at least, even by fast foot. I came via the bridge through the ruins of Borgrove. It's an old farming village, abandoned, of course, long since the Orc Storm ravaged it. But if we just go straight across the Belden Creek, she says, pointing directly west from where you are, we might be able to catch them as they come round again. It's a quicker route, and there we might be able to come upon them before they get back to the ruins themselves. Maybe be able to capture them and take them out before they can get back and warn the others. What do you say?
I like the sound of that.
It sounds like a good idea. You put your heads together so well, you two.
Thank you, I do try. Brilliant. In that case, we're all agreed then. The ruins of Borgrove do have a bridge. We will have to cross the road directly, but it will be a quicker way.
Yes, let us make haste. Let's get to them before they get to their friends.
And with that, Isella is off again, quite keen to be quick about all this. What do the two of you do?
Well, following.
I give a smile to Ylwa. Well done. And then I start trailing after Isella.
And you begin on your way, although, Ylwa, you do for a moment think to yourself, if this is a quicker way, why didn't the bandits come from this direction? Did they not know that the river can be crossed easily? Then again, crossing rivers is awkward when you don't have a bridge, so maybe that's the reason. But it does just stick in your mind for a few seconds.
Perhaps they know something we don't. Well, we're strong. We can handle whatever it is that we will face. And I grip the axe harder.
Indeed. And so you begin making your way into the scrublands. There is some space here, it's not all woods. You can hear, far off in the distance, not too far away, you imagine, a river. Clearly the river you're going to be crossing, the Belden Creek. As you are progressing, moving quite quickly, you come across a great deal of shrubs and natural bushes. Irinja, you have some skill in animal lore, do you not?
Yes, I do.
As you are looking around, thinking to yourself what natural beings must live in this place, would you like to attempt to roll?
Yes, why, certainly.
Very good. Then please roll your animal lore, wild animals. And yes, make the check, and if you need to, adjust it using your skill points.
First, I roll 16 over 14, so I will need to use 2 points to bring that down to success.
Correct.
And I have 4 remaining. And another roll. That is a success. It's 10 under 14. And finally, a 12 under 15. So I have 4 skill points left after the success.
Very good. That again gets you a quality level of 2. You are passing by one of these bushes, and you just think to yourself, is that a little tuft of fur? It is! You go towards this, and your cat suddenly is by your side, sniffing at this fur. What sort of fur is it? Boar! You take a quick sniff. Boar fur! Boar fur on a bush. There'll be boars nearby. This is boar territory, you think to yourself. What do you do?
Are they known to be quite hostile in these parts?
On a quality level of 2 for animal lore, you know that boars, well, they can be very aggressive, yes. Especially if they feel their young or their territory under threat. They can be peaceful enough if you leave them be, but if they think that their children are under threat, they are extremely aggressive. They are very fond of charging, trying to gore people on their tusks.
Indeed. And also, well, the fact that we are trying to move on, not quite subtly, might come upon them by surprise, which is all the worse. Better that they catch our scent before. I relay this to Azella and Ylwa. I say, it seems like there are boars in this area. Could be the reason why the bandits are taking the longer way around.
Azella sort of stops. Boars? Here? No, that's not normally boars. I mean, they're normally farther north. You think there could be boars nearby?
I'm pretty confident that's where this comes from, so unless someone has skinned one and then lost a tuft of fur happens by happenstance on this bush, then yes, there would be boars.
Yes, they would know that the route that we have taken is faster. They are avoiding it because it is dangerous. But no worries, we will handle it. We are more than capable together.
Yes, but now we know.
You see her looking quite irritated, but she nods. Alright, let's maybe progress a little slower. That way, hopefully we won't disturb any boars that are in the vicinity before we get to the river.
I nod, and I start looking a bit for tracks to see if, or other traces of them, just to aid our moving around them.
You can certainly try if you wish to make a tracking roll.
Yes, I could, but I'm looking instead at Ylwa and I say, you see any tracks about?
And I begin looking.
Very good, make your roll. Remember, skill points always refresh for every skill roll, so you don't run out of them in that manner.
Alright. My first is against courage. And here I roll 18. I have 14, so I will have to use 4 points of the 5 that I have. So that's not great. Then I roll 7 underneath my intelligence of 13. And the final roll is against agility. And I roll 15 against 14. And I use my final skill point. And I pass all 3 as a result.
But how many skill points then remain?
0.
Unfortunately, it is only a quality level 1. Meaning, you basically just confirm what she said. Like, you look around quickly and there are definitely tracks in the area. Definitely larger ones for an adult boar and little ones for some young boars. But where they come from, where they go, you're looking around, they could be anywhere. But they're definitely in the vicinity.
They're close by. I cannot tell exactly where, but we best be ready.
Let us be on our guard then.
As you move forward then, would you say you're trying to be slightly more stealthy?
Yes.
We shall say then in this case, it is always the lowest of a group roll you roll for. It'll be you, Irinja, who make this stealth roll. This is a competitive roll. What does that mean? It means I'm also rolling. I'm rolling for the boar's perception. The quality level, which is higher, will be the individual, in this case, who wins. So let us see what the boar rolls, but you can roll at the same time.
Right, and that would be courage, intelligence, agility that I'm rolling. Courage, I roll 11 under 14. Intelligence, I roll 8 under 14. Agility, I'm rolling 14 over 13, so I will have to use 1 stealth point, 1 skill point from stealth, and I've remaining ones as 3, so that's just a quality level 1 success.
Ah. Unfortunately, for the boar, its perception was not enough to succeed on the check, even with adjustments. Meaning, with your quality level of 1, you begin leading the way, Irinja. Sort of just getting the others to follow behind you. Ylwa, you know that you may be a little more stealthy, but again, you know how this works. If she is good at being stealthy, then you will be better. That's just how these things often go. So with her leading, you are able to successfully keep Azella quiet, and you begin just making your way forwards, being a little more careful through this bushy area. At one point around it, you think you see a boar. You see it sort of sniffling around, but it doesn't see you. It sort of turns round, you hear a couple of oinking sounds. Yes, its children are nearby, and you'll successfully avoid it. And so, after doing this for about 20 to 30 minutes, you finally leave this shrubby area and see, maybe another 10 minutes away, the great river awaiting you. Azella lets out a sigh of relief and wipes her forehead. Did you... you were right, I think I heard some. Did you see them?
Yes, that shape back there was definitely one of the bigger ones. I think younglings were nearby as well. I think we should be safe on the other side of the river if we can find a crossing.
We certainly will, and again, good eyes, good eyes. I admit that would have been bad. Boars could be quite aggressive. Good. We should be fine now, though. Let's head to the river and see if we can find a crossing. What do you say, Ylwa?
Agreed.
How are you feeling, Ylwa? It was good you avoided the boars, but at the same time, there's nothing quite like hunting a boar, is there?
I do enjoy it. And it is nice skinning them and eating their meat. Yes, it's a pity, but we have more important things to do, really, and, well, there will be skulls to bash in soon.
Indeed. And so you make your way to the river. When you finally reach the Belden Creek, you can see plainly that it is nearly overflowing with melting spring runoff. It is, after all, that time of year, and this river is one of the rivers that goes all the way upwards to the great mountain ranges, so it will be very cold. It looks about 15 to 18 feet wide, fairly deep. What do you do?
Well, can we look around and see if there's a place where we can cross? I mean, the depth isn't the same everywhere, is it?
You look around, left, right. It's quite a deep river, but okay. First of all, you do think that it's not that deep in terms that you could probably find somewhere where you could wade across, but you know this sort of water, you can smell it. This will be very cold. To you, probably not that bad, but you kind of look at your companions and think, these southerners probably would be very damp and very unhappy. So maybe there's a better way.
I look around, up and down river, and I look at Azella. So how exactly did you intend that we cross this, mass of water?
You see Azella looking around, frowning. Well, wait. Well, look over there. There's a trunk. And just about 5 minutes to the right, there is indeed an old copper beech trunk that has fallen across the river. Doesn't look the most stable, but with a good little bit of balance, you could crawl or walk along said trunk.
Well, if you don't want to get wet, why don't you use that? I think I can just get through this water. I miss the cold, actually. It's way too warm here.
What do you mean you're going to try wading through?
Well, why not?
Well, all right, I guess. I'm going to take the trunk, thank you very much.
The trunk will do.
And Azella quickly moves over towards this wooden trunk and begins crawling along it. She doesn't walk on it. She takes a bit of a moment to get herself ready and starts just kind of using her whole body to sort of scoot along the trunk. And she's making progress. Probably be about another 4 minutes of it, but eventually you think she'll be across the other side. So, what do you do, Irinja?
Well, I'm not going to lay down on this mossy trunk and let my blouse get stained. This should be an easy thing to just walk along over. And I like to reference my personality flaw of arrogance.
Ah, yes. Well, in this case, there will be no penalty to a roll, because even though you are being arrogant, the tree trunk doesn't care. So, you can indeed simply do this as you wish.
I shall walk on tiptoe. I have the grace of a cat.
You see your own cat sort of look at you and proceed to jump onto the trunk and quickly make its way across, with no problem at all. It is, after all, a cat. You, on the other hand, will need to roll a body control balancing roll. So that's body control, and as you are trying to walk along, you will have a +1 to the roll. Which means, in this case, that all stats are 1 more than they would be normally. Sometimes skills will often have a sub-thing after them, like body control balancing. This is just in case you had something that helped with balancing particular, you'd be able to use it. But otherwise, it wouldn't apply. So body control, something else like body control, sustaining damage would not help you here. But this is balancing.
First roll is the natural 1. And 7 for the second agility roll, under 14. And the last one is then Constitution, which is 13 raised to 14. And that's another natural 1.
And that is a critical success. 2 natural 1s on a skill roll are a critical success. So you tell me how you indeed use almost the grace of a cat to cross this trunk in no time at all.
I see Azella getting down, starting to crawl over said trunk, and Katsinka, my little companion, is jumping along, finding places that are well balanced, and I observe those places, and I take a lithe jump myself over Azella as she's lying there, and my foot lands just in front of her nose, and I then walk over with a few more steps as the trunk gives a little worrying creak.
Yes, you do actually manage to outpace Azella, arriving first on the other side. You do see Azella frown a little, and as she kind of gets off the trunk, remarking, well, not very good and all, better safe than sorry.
Well, we made it, didn't we? And I look down the river to see how Ylwa is wading along.
Well, Ylwa, you have taken a different route. As you begin wading in, again, the cold to you is not so bad, quite pleasant really. But of course, it's still water, and it still comes up to your waist. This will require a feat of strength, dragging and pulling, in this case you are pulling yourself through the water. You can have a bonus of +1 though.
Alright. Well, then I shall roll. First I roll against Constitution. That's 7 underneath, in that case, 15. Then Strength, where I roll 18 underneath 16. So I use 2 points there. And then finally 12 underneath 16 on Strength. So the total skill points remaining are 8.
In which case, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for quality level 3. Well, again, like I said, you are over in no time. You actually somehow are just as fast as Irinja is doing acrobatics on a trunk. A lot of people this would be difficult for, but you tell me, why were you so good at wading through an icy river at full speed?
Well, it's something that we have to do quite often where I'm from. When I survived being left in the wild as a child, I had to wade through plenty of water, and it's never been a problem for me. Now you just put your entire body into it, your entire strength into it, and you just push the water aside, and it moves aside, and you can move forward. Strength solves many things.
It certainly does. Azella is looking at you again, generally looking quite impressed, like, you just waded through that water like it was nothing. That's generally very impressive.
I smile. Now then.
Yes, let us proceed onwards. And again, you dry yourself off as best you can. You are now a little damp from the waist down, but again, you knew to keep your bag and your equipment all above, so it's only a mild inconvenience. It won't cause you an issue. Although, what do you think, Irinja, looking at your friend looking just a little damp?
I like how her scraps of leather that she likes to wear clings to her body, and I finger my necklace with a bit of appreciation.
And your cat rubs against your leg for a moment. Quite happy to be out and about, it seems, on this little adventure.
Yes, and I'm struck with curiosity, which was also the reason why I decided to follow this squire of Sunfield, whether or not I would admit that to myself. What else would we find in here? These bandits, what could they have for me?
Who knows? If they have a camp, maybe they have stolen goods. Ooh, stolen goods are stolen goods, but, well, surely no one minds if you just help yourself to a few things. Might be able to make yourself a few ducats from all this. An extra, as well as, of course, the bounty.
There's that. But there could be other things too.
She did mention a cloister. That's interesting. That's not a bandit camp, so to say. That must mean they've camped in a location.
Yes, maybe it's an old building. Maybe it contains some trace of ages past. Who knows? I do have a slight fascination with religions.
And so you continue onwards. Moving now into thicker wood. The time of the river and the scrubland is over. Now truly you're in the woods. Again, though, the luminous woods are not unpleasant woods. Apart from maybe a few sounds of birds, a few sounds of local wildlife. They're certainly not the sort of woods you'd have in the far north, or even the Bornland. They seem mostly safe. Although, of course, there's probably a few predators here and there. And of course, bandits. Still, Azella leads the way, seeming quite happy with herself. Good. We could have shaved off a whole hour, meaning that if we watch the main road from the woods, we might be able to come across the bandits. This is excellent. Have you two, killed bandits before?
Oh, many times. Sometimes they make the mistake of trying to get into our lands. Not often, mind you, it is quite cold. But it is fun to slay them when they come.
I look at you with a curious look. Well, fun, I don't know. I've driven off my share of orcs. I think a pair of bandits shouldn't be that much of a challenge.
Ah, you've had encounters with orcs before. Good. I was meant to mention, the bandits have one with them, so be careful.
Oh, really? And I grimace a bit before recovering my charming smile.
Working together with orcs, are they? This is getting better.
They certainly are. I tell you, I cannot understand the nature of someone who would work with an orc. Now, of course, to you, Ylwa, you then immediately think, plenty of people work with orcs. You have people have very good trade with the white snow orcs of your homeland. And even in the Bornland and Midland, plenty of bandits work with orcs. It's the way of things. But again, both of you know that here in Griffonsford especially, in these shield lands, the people are have problems with the orcish people of the borders to the north, largely due to the wars they've had very recently.
They're fierce warriors. It should make battle more interesting, I say and smile.
I prefer a goblin over an orc any day, but certainly.
They may have had a goblin with them as well, I can't remember. I didn't see all of them when I was captured, but I could hear voices. When I made my escape, that is.
How many do you think there are?
She stops to think. Let's see. Their leader? Horrible man. Be careful of him, by the way. He is I think he was a former knight once or something. That's what he said anyway, so he will be dangerous. Then I think there were at least 2 of the orc. 5 to 6, maybe? I'm not 100% sure on that, so not too many. Hopefully, if we can get some of them before they get back to the others, that will dwindle their numbers well.
Excellent.
Yes, right. Well, as long as we can keep our advantage and take them by surprise. Yes. I hesitate a little bit. It seems like an awful large number for the three of us, but I smile.
Like I said, if we can get in quietly, get rid of these two now if we find them, that takes down to 4. If we're quiet and careful about it, if we can take out another 1 or 2, then we'll be free against maybe 2 or even 1. We'll be able to have an advantage. That's my suggestion, by the way. I don't know if you had a different plan, but I was thinking stealth is important here. We definitely don't want to risk them seeing us, and definitely don't communicate with them.
No, that sounds fair. Sneak up on them, and then we bash their heads in. It would be unnecessary to die in the attempt.
And she nods and seems very happy, and then quickly goes, wait, did you hear something?
Do I?
Did we?
Let us let Ylwa roll the perception check here.
Alright, on the first roll against sagacity, I roll 12, which is above 9, so you need to use 3 points there. And then intuition, 5, that's good. And 3, that's good. So that is, what did we say there? That gives us 4 points remaining, which should be a quality level of 2.
2 people on the road, and you quickly duck behind a tree, and you can see, yes, 2 individuals making their way around the road. The road, at this point, by the way, being a very old, very worn traveller's path through this wooded area. Barely seeable, but it does seem Azella knew it was here, and that was sort of where you were following. And you can definitely see 2 individuals starting to make their way. Not in your direction, for they have not seen you, but they will be moving past you. Azella ducks as well, and nods to you. Definitely bandits. Let's get ready to ambush.
I nod and I smile.
Yes. I press myself up against a tree.
And you begin to wait. Waiting. Hoping, of course, that these individuals will not see you before you spring your ambush.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the adventure Justice and Noble Valor for the Dark Eye. This is a sponsored adventure by our friends at Ulysses International. The music was created by Egersonus and Lesa Listvi and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Visit cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more fantastic music for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, and Julia for their generous support. And we'd of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cultivated Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you for listening, and see you soon again.